Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rock Bottom Alchemy podcast. My name is Tiffany, I'm your host. I'm really happy to have you here. If this is your first time here, welcome. On this podcast, we talk about spirituality, we talk about love and truth and freedom and beauty and harmony and alchemy and how to recover from our low points, how to come back from rock bottom, to come back from something or some place that feels dark and lonely and musty and like we'll be trapped there forever. Ever since I was a kid, I found myself gravitating towards people who I felt like needed a friend. I would say that has served me very well and sometimes not so well. There is a wounded healer archetype where if you don't pour into your own cup and you're only going around trying to heal others, that can be to your detriment. So I ended up in my own versions of rock bottom until I learned how to pour into my own cup first. I pour into my own cup now so that I can overflow to others through the podcast, through my social media content, through the courses that I sell. And I even offer like one-on-one services like texting or video chats. Because now that I've poured into my own cup, more than ever, I've been driven into my purpose, my passion of reaching to others when I can tell that they're in darkness. And since we're in this great age of internet, it makes it easier than ever to connect with others. And then at the same time, it makes it easier than ever to disconnect from others. And we'll touch on that a little bit here today. The topic is grief, you guys, right? It's a heavy topic, or it can be a heavy topic. The point of alchemy, for if you want to just like have like the raw definition, originally it's the practice of trying to turn base metals into gold. Spiritual alchemy is editing your words, your thoughts, your actions, your mindset, your understanding of your reality and your experiences in such a way that instead of rolling around in the mud perpetually in a dark emotion, in a dark time in your life, that you can see a way through by altering your perception, your mindset. Put bluntly, spiritual alchemy is turning your shit into sunshine. I've seen people get stuck in the emotion of grief for years and decades. It's the most heartbreaking. Like, not only do they go through a loss that shook them to their core, but now they've abandoned their own life, essentially. A relative of mine, when he lost his wife, he never recovered. And not that you should recover, right? You should never forget. You should never stop thinking about a person. But I watched him shut down. He stopped socializing. He didn't want to do family get-togethers anymore. You know, he stopped doing Christmas with people. And every day, every time I saw him anyway, until he left the earth, he was sad. He was glum. He was heartbroken. And what a way to go out, you know? If that's your last decade and a half, if you spend 10, 15, 20, 30 years in this state of depression, rather than realizing and sort of grabbing the reins and saying, like, I still have a life, I'm still here, I still matter, and there's ways that I can honor and celebrate that person in my day-to-day life while moving forward. They say the only three constants in life are change, humor, being able to find the humor in things. You have to be able to accept change. You have to be able to find the humor in your situations, to smile at yourself the way that our Creator is looking down at you saying, look at you doing your thing. You have to have those same eyes for yourself. As if you're watching a child grow, you are your Creator's creation. They are it, source, whatever you believe in, it's watching you every day. You're creating a movie of sorts. You are having an experience. You are living a life. Any good movie, each day is a different day. We don't want you stuck in Groundhog Day. We don't want you stuck in a repetitive loop of rock bottom, of fetal position, of crying, of not moving forward. And the third thing is paradox, mystery, the embrace of the unknown, the acceptance of the change, that everything will continue to change, and move forward in as lighthearted of a way as you can, knowing that grief is one of the human experiences which every single one of us goes through. You're not alone. In fact, what you're going through is like the most camaraderie that you could, in a way. Yet, grief is typically a very private experience. It is typically a very lonely moment. So, although it is universal in that we all experience it, right? It's also totally isolating, lonely, and probably our darkest hour. Guys, I am an emotional person. That's why I have been led down this path of speaking about rock bottom moments with people. Not only can I empathize, not only do I feel like the compassion, like I can almost feel you, the listener, here with me. Like I can feel that although I'm not in like a deeply, deeply grief-stricken state, although I am processing some actively still, I can feel that some of you actually are in a very low, grief-stricken moment in your life. You may have just lost somebody very important to you. You might have tears in your eyes. You could have a lump in your throat. You could be totally shut off and dissociated. Grief brings up just a whole range of emotions and experiences. Some people are able to compartmentalize. A lot of men are taught not to have emotion and to shove that shit down and act like it's not there. I've seen men and women process things exactly like each other and sometimes nothing like each other. So this doesn't discriminate. All of these experiences, the feelings, they are interchangeable between genders. I've seen, like in the case of my family member that I was referencing, I've seen someone just totally shut off from the world for, it was like 15 years. It was like 15, 16 years. It was a long time. I've seen people on my social media be like in tears for years and years. I've seen people say that they don't want to be here anymore. And it's not even when you lose a person physically, spiritually from this physical plane. Sometimes the person is still walking around this earth, and so are you. And your grief is more along the lines of it was a person that was in your life. You had a relationship with them. They meant the world to you. Something happened. Maybe it was infidelity. Maybe it was domestic violence. Maybe there was a restraining order. Maybe you are separated from your children. Maybe it was your best friend. Maybe a pet. Maybe it was your job. Maybe your house burnt down. Maybe you lost all your stuff. Grief can come from anything, right? The most common form of grief is when somebody leaves the physical plane. Or maybe I'll say the deepest cutting. But, when we're talking about grief, it really is, it's a matter of loss. It's a matter of having someone in your life or something, and then that someone or something being gone probably for good. But when we say for good, what does that mean, One loss that I went through was my grandmother. She was my last grandparent to leave the earth. It was, I don't remember now if it was 2 or 3 years back. She was the grandparent I was the closest with. She was at every single Christmas, every single birthday. I think she was like 95 or 96 when she left. We all knew it was coming, so to speak, but at the same time, when it happened, it's like it didn't feel real. And it's funny that I'm tearing up right now talking about her, because the first couple of years after she was gone, I didn't cry. I felt numb. I didn't know how to process it. I went through feelings of guilt even. Why am I not crying? And so no two people's grief are going to look the same, right? Because I've been through other grief where I just crumpled up into a ball right then and there. With grandma, she taught me so much even after she left. And that's a piece of what I wanted to share with you guys today in the podcast, is maybe how to move through some grief the way that grandma taught me to. And she wasn't here. She just taught me through the experience of losing her. When she left, I didn't know how to say goodbye, right? How do you say goodbye? How do you say bye to somebody you love? And she had this electric organ piano. I don't know what year it was from, guys. It was so old. She had it the whole time I knew her. And every time me and my sister went over there to visit or for a sleepover, we would sit down and try to play. And it must have been, I don't know, maybe music to her ears or nails on a chalkboard, because we didn't know how to play. But we did anyway. And when she left, for some reason, I felt compelled, drawn to get a piano, even though I didn't know how to play still in my 30s. And so I got a piano, and I found myself sitting there and learning and practicing. And it took me a little while, because I'm an adult trying to relearn how to play an instrument I've never played. It took me a while, but I actually started getting what I will call good for me, for someone at my age trying to learn something. And I found myself feeling like a release, like a connection through the piano, through expression out of my fingertips. And it didn't really hit me until quite a while into it that I was processing the grief of losing grandma by taking up a hobby of hers. it was a way to carry on her memory. Every time I sat down at the keys, it was like a piece of her was back, or something like that, you know? And I got thinking about just generally how we can apply that. Because I'm not saying we should take on the hobbies of our loved ones who leave us, you know? If grandpa was a car guy, if your husband was a car guy, if your ex was a car guy, maybe you're the woman and you're not a car guy and you don't care to be a car guy and you don't care to have tools or automobile models or anything around. So like when I stretch out further, when I zoom out and step back, how else can we apply this? And I sort of started thinking about like, well, we can carry the traits of these people that we love. For instance, if your loved one had a big laugh, if they were the type that would give the shirt off their back, find what you loved in that person and carry it forward with you in your day-to-day. There's nothing fake about adopting something into your own personality that you found beautiful about someone else. You know, there's a difference between like copying someone and being fake and like emulating what was beautiful about them, emanating some of the light that they carried within them, within you. So if they had a big laugh, maybe a way of honoring them is, instead of being afraid of what people are thinking about how you look while you're laughing, or if you're worried in the past about the perception that people had of your loud laugh, maybe now it's like you have grandpa's permission. Now you have like this boldness within you because it's an act of love in a way, a love for them. And now it's like their love is carried through you going forward. And if you were to apply this same concept to, say it's somebody that's left your life, but they're still on earth. You have two options here. You can look at the experience like a loss, even if it ended ugly, or you can look at it as all of the lessons that you learned from your time with them, even if most of it was ugly, even if it's like a restraining order. What lessons did you learn? Did you guys smile? Just because something ends bad, just because something ends, period, it doesn't mean that you are required to carry on darkness as a result. Part of alchemy, like I said, is turning the base metal into gold. Alchemy is taking something mundane, shitty, depressing, and finding a way to flip it on its head and find the beauty that's there. So like even in my case, you know, I have a prosthetic wrist. I am missing bones in my wrist and it hurts every single day from a bad relationship. Now, I could walk through my whole life hating that person, right? And carrying anger in my heart and poisoning myself with heavy emotions. Or the alchemy process is, you know, what have I learned? How am I going to carry myself differently? How can I still be emulating beauty or giving, sharing, loving others? How can I grow from the experience? So some might call it rose-colored glasses, but I don't look at it that way. I just look at it as I care about my health. I care about protecting my well-being, physical and mental, and therefore I'm not going to hold on to the ugly. And in fact, I'm going to think about the good memories, the beautiful moments, the lessons learned. And I'm going to move forward in a way now a little bit wiser. So with any loss that you go through, if you can grow from it, if you can extract what was beautiful there and wear the beauty, and I don't mean physical, I mean like in your heart, in your actions, in your day-to-day, if through your entire life with everything actually, but in the case of grief, those people that you lose, find what you loved about them. Put on your rose-colored glasses if you must. Pick out the beauty from the situation and carry that like a torch. And when you find other people who have a dimness, like their internal glow, their own torch has been put out a bit, there's a beauty in being able to use your torch to light other people's torches back up. That's what I think when I think about grief. When I think about processing grief, I think about older folks and how before Google took over the world, we would go to our elders when we had a broken heart. If we went through a loss, if we went through something hard, we drag ourselves over to Grandma's house and Grandma has a talk with us. She imparts wisdom. And even if you were still sad, you couldn't help but feel like as if like a warm blanket had been wrapped around you. You feel a little bit different after getting advice from somebody who's been there, an elder. And as we're moving into this technological age, we're kind of tossing our wise generation aside in lieu of Google. And Google can't quite give us that warm blanket feeling that human connection can. So that's another tip I have. If you find yourself like torn the heck up over loss, the people that have been through the most loss are the people who have been on the planet the longest. Seek out an elder. Like, they might not have all the pop culture references, but certain things are timeless. Loss, grief, these are timeless. We all go through it. And the point is to not get lost in the sauce. The point is to not disappear because someone else has disappeared. Like, you are here living out your journey. And I say this all the time. We're born alone. We die alone. And yes, we have this journey in between where, if we're lucky, we get to connect with other people who love us and we love them in return. And isn't that beautiful? But no one person is going to be here from the day you're born till the day you die and be your best friend the whole way through. It's your responsibility. It's your honor. It's your honor to be your best friend. It's an honor to be able to have the bandwidth, the capacity to hold yourself in your dark hours. If you're fortunate enough to have other people in your life who can hold you in your dark hours, make sure you're able to do that for them too. That's the most beautiful thing that we can do for one another is love on each other throughout life. But just remember, you have a story. You have a journey. You are the star of your own movie, if you will. And think if you were watching a movie, in the movie, in any movie, in any book, in any good story, there is a protagonist, there are antagonists, there is a climax, something to overcome, and then there's the achievement, the overcoming, the story. Imagine if you were watching a movie like The Truman Show. Pretend you're in a movie. If you curl up in a ball and just say, I'm done living life, I'm not going to show up anymore, and you never pop out of that state, that's a sad movie. You're not meant to shrivel up in moments of grief. You're meant to, kind of like when you hit rock bottom, I say there's a slingshot down there, or there's a ladder. Sometimes it's a ladder and you go slow. Even in grief, even in your darkest hour, even after you've curled up and shriveled up, you are meant to, kind of like a butterfly emerging from their cocoon, you're meant to come out a little bit more beautiful. That wisdom, the heartbreak is meant to transform you. It has to. Otherwise, what does your movie look like? You know, in the case of my family member that I was mentioning, it was a sad movie to see another person disappear until the day they left. He could have had a beautiful 15 years, but instead, he was very depressed and shut everyone out and didn't want to do holidays, didn't want to see the rest of the family. Even if you don't have a bunch of family, then fine. You're in a movie where you're a bachelor, you're a bachelorette. You're in a movie where you could travel, where you could create a purpose. Even if you're bedridden, connecting with others, like I say, the internet, it's kind of a curse, but it's also the most beautiful, right? I've connected with a lot of beautiful people over the internet through speech, through word of mouth. People tell me on a daily basis they're so glad that they connected with me and stuff like that. It really warms my heart, and it reminds me of my own purpose, of why I show up. I was the girl in school who, if I saw somebody sitting alone in the cafeteria, I was more likely to go up to that person and be like, hey, how are you doing? Than I was to try to go sit at the crowded table with all of the cool kids and try to fit in over there. Reaching down to others when they're in a broken place, when they need an ear, when they need a hand, it's one of the most beautiful, honorable, like selfless things we can do as humans for one another. So if you need purpose in your life and you don't know where to start, sometimes just showing up and telling your story and giving someone else something to relate to can be just as healing for you as the people that you touch. Obviously, if you're just starting your grief, if you just lost someone today or last week, if it was your spouse, no one's expecting you to show up like a superhero with a cape. I'm just hoping to put some encouragement out there, like a warm blanket, to let you know that your life matters, your story matters, and the world literally needs you. The world needs you. The world needs healing right now, and we heal through human connection. Your movie was not meant to end when someone else's movie literally ended. If someone else leaves the earth, that's the end of their movie. My friend, my love, that's not the end of yours. Yours is still playing. Your reel, your film, it's still spinning. And so after you take your time, your however long it is, your days, your weeks, your months, and hopefully not too many more months into years. Hopefully you're able to see the sunshine peek through the blinds. And you can still carry that person with you every single day. Everywhere you go, you can celebrate them. If they were funny, go out there and be goofy and loud. And no one has to know that that's you honoring your loved one every single time you smile or laugh or crack a joke. That can be your inside joke with the person that's gone. Go outside, talk to them, walk through nature and talk to them. If you can't talk to them, then just think about them. And for Pete's sake, let your emotions out. Guys, emotions trapped in the body create disease. I'll say it over and over and over. It's not that I love Google, but you can prove, it's proven. Go to Google. If you look up, at least right now, until they censor it, right now they're still saying, even on Google, that unprocessed emotions can cause physical disease in the body. And if you're not sure where you're holding emotions, lay or sit. Get real comfy. And just kind of scan your body from head to toe, like in your mind, like feel, where am I holding tightness right now? If you have to, take your hands and do, if you've heard of making biscuits, like a dog or a cat, a puppy or a kitten, go across your body and just like use your fingertips and kind of feel around, make biscuits, find where you're holding tension. Just becoming aware of these little areas where you're holding tension, bringing attention to it. It'll kind of bring it more to the forefront of your mind, and you'll find yourself developing an interest in gently releasing. I held a lot of tension in my chest, in like my rib cage area. I don't know if it's because girls, my generation was all about like looking skinny. I don't know if that's every generation, but we all would suck in our stomachs, and you'd be surprised how much tension is developed, like right around your rib cage, right under your breasts, from holding, like sucking in your stomach for 20, 30, 40 years. So feel around, see where you're holding tension. Give yourself permission to start releasing the tension. If you need to cry, yawn, stretch, scream, yodel, whistle, whatever, and you don't want to be seen doing it, those are all somatic releases. Those are all ways of releasing pent-up energy. Go to nature. Go scream in your car. Do what you got to do. Letting stuff out is therapeutic, whether you're a man or a woman. Men have the exact same emotional release needs as women. Maybe they're told not to release, but we need our men healthy just as much as our women. So if you're a guy listening to this, please, if you need to find privacy to release your emotions, don't shame yourself. We have enough people shaming each other. A lot of people like shame themselves. Like they'll judge themselves. You can be totally alone and be like embarrassed as heck. Be like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, oh, I look stupid. You should be doing it. If you're doing it, your body wants to release it. You don't look stupid. Give yourself permission to not judge yourself for your grief process. The world's hard enough. You don't need to judge yourself. You're a human. We are human. We have emotional bodies. You guys, I have this podcast because I knew that I needed to reach people and have it be on a free basis. I have also gone a step further, and I create courses for anyone who wants to go deeper into a topic. Specifically today, since we're talking about grief, if you want more conversation with me, if you like if it's comforting, hearing me speak about processing grief. I have been there deeply, especially over the last couple of years, both with people who are here and not here. I did create a course. I believe it's like 2.5 hours-ish long. If you check out my link tree, it's a link tree right now. Who knows if you're listening to this years down the road, if I'll still be with Linktree or whatever, but I have a link in my bio with any courses that I've made. I have one specifically for grief. I lost someone recently. I wrote a big old poem, pages and pages, and the course is basically me reading through the poem with a whole lot of commentary, going much more in depth into the topics, my methods and whatnot, and just kind of meeting you where you're at. Grief is a hard place to be. It is a dark emotion. It's one of our heaviest. My courses are very similar to the podcast. Sometimes they're a little bit more structured, but they are very conversational. They're very one-on-one feel. They're very, I'm a human and you're a human and I love you and I see you in your darkness and I'm meeting you with a flashlight and I wish to show you that you can come through, and you will. So if you need more conversation, feel free to check out the course. I am also opening up currently right now. We are at the beginning of 2025. I'm opening up one-on-one sessions. And I'm thinking about opening up like a texting program, like where we can literally text like on a weekly basis type of thing, like a one-time fee gets you a week of texting, like specifically for people who are in a lonely, dark moment that literally just needs somebody to communicate with. So check out the links in my bio for other resources where I can love on you further and with more time availability. All right? So I love you. Be happy, as happy as you can be. Try to see the beauty in your existence that is still there. All right? Be safe, be blessed, because you are more than you know.